Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing fine. Thank you to listen to you, teacher. I won't speak in English. I can barely speak Spanish, but I'll do my best. Good morning, everyone. Oh, good evening for some of you. I want to thank you for being here and thank you for the space to Teacher Angela for giving us the space and to keep strengthening the territory in these spaces, through these spaces. We hope that this day we can begin. I want to accompany you with the medicine of my town, which is located in the department of Cauca. We are basically from Paramo, so we use a lot of water. Particularly, I use tobacco as well because it's something that is something that I dream of in part of our communities, in women and men in our community that work with medicine, use this natural gifts, and they receive it through their dreams and through the practice, and walking through with people like yourself, and walking in the territories and living experiences that are very complex as well. And these experiences allow us in the ways that we've been resilient against to come out of it, of another process. So this is we're getting ahead here. So I want to say that wherever you are, let's please cross our hands across our feet as well, so that when I do a bit of the ritual, it helps us with that process. I'll now help you as well through my words, with the things that I have around me, and my spirits and women, all those women behind me that live in me, and that will live in you, that will protect that and respect ourselves through the women, through their spirits and what they transmit. I have some water here as well. And hopefully, if you can all have a glass of water, please, so that we can feel a bit of that tranquility of what water does to us, so that everything flows when we more need it. And also, let's place ourselves in those spaces that makes us happy in some moment in time. If we can please, in our territory. So let me begin by thanking your kindness, your your kindness from wherever you are, from your essence, with the fire. I used it first to be in harmony, to stay clean in those places where we were going, to get there clean where we were going, because of the energies that are tense, that are not in harmony, so that when things, everything are aligned, so that we can be clean and cleansed. Uh, we're trying to connect us spiritually. This is the idea for us to continue doing great things. In the living territories. Now we find our completely right hand to balance the energies, the physical energies, the body energies, and also our dreams and the goals that we have here. We always it's very complex because we carry so many things. We don't have any time to harmonize our spirit, but with good thinking, I think it's we're connecting properly. Thank you for being here. Now I have some water for you. We have some plants in it. This is pichingalo. So it translates into harmony, some ruda, some happiness, like only finding in our territory, and some corn as well, like corn that I used to be. This is for you guys, for you ladies who are here with us present, and this for these women that live in us. We talked here about our Jonia. She's one of our elders that has the most present in the men. That she's the one that accompanies them and teaches them to do medicine through in their dreams. And they say that women should not have the spirit from their perspective around this because it was like attempting against the natural energy. And then another one said that our day that we need to have both energies, that both the male and the female energies, and they should be in harmony as well because we're coming from a women and men, and our cosmovision comes from two lagoons, so we have to have them present and always offer them, in their case, from the process that they've lived for what you've done to get here. I'm sure that you have your own struggles, so never forget that. That always remember to get better, living through the process that you come through. So this is my offering, so that you can always are well, and that you're always, no matter how cloudy it might look, you can always have that energy. You can have somebody there that can reach you, that could be give you advice and accompany you. So thank you very much. There's another water that has been transformed, and they said that they did it in this way so that nobody could steal their knowledge. They said so they put it in this jar. It has many plants, so it's also thing helps us to keep harmony. And I hope that you are all well, and I thank you for being able to be here and sharing with you. And someone said it, just got here and connected properly as well. So thank you for being here with us and to this land of ours. Thank you very much. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Adriana, for your knowledge, for sharing with us. we are all in harmony for our session for today. And we're gonna send everyone your link for Asia and Africa so that you can connect with Joanna. And then the remaining people from Latin America, you can stay in this chat right here. Here with Carolina. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Miss Teacher Angela, for your space. Thank you, everyone.
Very moving. I'm just going to record, the FIMI, the IIWF is recording, but I'm just recording as a backup. So today is our last day and our last session together, but we'll still be in touch. How many people are here? Should we wait one little minute? Angela, did you see how many more were in the main room? Were there more? Let's wait one more minute until 20 past to see if anybody else joins.
And if you want, I can send a message.
Okay, to make sure. I'm also going to make you co-host just in case. And right, don't worry. I mean, if you don't have a strong signal, you don't need to open your video. So I just wanted to show you all, because I'm a little concerned about the task. And maybe, I mean, this task was supposed to be a pre-work task, but because we were informed that you had a lot of work, Carolina and I said that you could do it during the course, and I've now extended the deadline. I'm just going to show you on the campus what I'm talking about. So this was the first task that it's been extended until Friday the 8th, and you should be handing it in to, I'm just going to see if this will work. Yes, to this, you see, nobody has handed it in. I'm getting no replies. Minerva has set up this is the forum in which you hand in the task, and I haven't yet had any replies. But I think that after today's session, you are all going to feel a little more confident, because I'm assuming that the reason nobody has handed it in, although maybe there is some other explanation, I'm going to jump out of the campus. You all have the link to the campus, is because we are, maybe you're not feeling so confident about setting up the abstract, about setting up your own table of contents. But today I have the first thing, we're obviously going to look at editing and how to quote, but because in the challenges you said that you were very unsure about how to write the case study and how to start the case study, I'm going to go through all the different the template. I've posted a template on the campus, and I'm now going to put the template in the chat so that you can have it. And what do I mean by a template? I mean a model which you can use, but it's a template is also an adaptable model. And so I'm going to show you, we're going to start off today by me showing you how one of the case studies in the past used this model and adapted it to their needs. Because obviously every case study is going to be different. You all have a unique voice. You all have a unique story to tell. So you're going to adapt it, but I think that you're going to find it helpful if I can show you what the template is and how this case study used it as a model. Okay, so let's start there. Right. And with that, I hope to see your case studies your tasks by this Friday, because I need them to present the final evaluation. You know that you get a mark for attending the classes, you get a mark for participating, and you've been a wonderful group and everyone's been participating a lot, which is lovely. But you also need to, and we've been doing a lot of different activities in the class, but we also need an individual task from each of you so that I can evaluate you and send in your marks. Okay, so this was just some answers from the last week. In our last session, we did punctuation and we finished off plain English. And this was the answer from the last exercise that we didn't have quite time to finish up because obviously we had a lot. I think today I'm going to take things slowly and try and, and I think we're doing fine for time today. We're not in any hurry, but I wanted to give you those answers which I owed you from last week, and then also the logical structure, the example of the email, which some of you may have done. This is yours may be different. Naina.
Yes, teachers. I'm trying to submit my assignment, but I don't know how to submit my previous assignment.
Ooh, is it not taking it? Where it says reply. Angela, do you know how to do this? I'm not so familiar with this version of Moodle.
Yes, but I think if you want in the break, I can help you if you want.
But it would be good to show everyone. I mean, I'm happy.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me stop sharing. But Angela, do you have the campus open so that you can show them?
No, but
okay. You let me know when you have it open, and then I'll hand over the sharing facility to you.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be that it's great that Naina asked this question, because maybe that's also why nobody submitted, because you don't know how to do it. But okay, good. So what we're going to do today, in the first part of today, we're going to look at the template and we're going to look at the example more to the point. Then we're going to look at the writing process, because you all told me that you felt nervous you didn't know where to start. You felt a bit stressed about this. So we're going to look at the writing process and break it down so that it's less intimidating, because of course it is very intimidating to start to write. Then we're going to look at editing with a style sheet, and we're going to make some little comments about editing colleagues when we're working with more than one person. Good. So you should all have either downloaded the template for case study that is on the campus, or downloaded the one that I have put in the chat. It's the same version. It's the same document. And here I have it printed out. I always like to have something to write on by hand. For me, in that way, I'm a bit old school. And you can see this is something we saw already in the very first day. We saw this is like the classic template, and it contains everything. But as we will see, you may want to make some changes, and this is very natural because it is not set in stone. It's not like, well, that's the template and we have to stick to it no matter what. The template, I mean, there are some parts of the template that you're always going to have. You're always going to have the executive summary. You're always going to have the conclusions, the recommendations, but there are other parts that are going to adapt, as you will see, depending on your the information that you want to put into it. So so definitely treat it as something that is flexible. As I say, it's not set in stone. So the case study that I chose that I thought was a representative example and will be useful for you was the one about the and I'm always nervous about saying this, Mbororo, which was written by two people in 2022, so 2 years ago. And this, in this first slide here, you can see there's the title, and then the authors. There's more than one, and this in yours there also may be more than one author, and it even goes into the organization, which is, you know, you've got that up in your Excel, and it mentions that it's supported by the International Indigenous Women's Forum, and then it's got the date and the country. Okay, so it's got all this information. It's more complete than just title and author, as you can see. Any questions so far? Naina, you still have your hand up. Do you want to put the icon down? Because otherwise I think that you're asking a different question. And I know that your question is to do with how to upload the task to the campus. Anyone else? Any questions about this first part? Okay. If there's no questions, then I'm just going to keep on moving on. So the second part, I'm hearing some echo. So here we have our original, the template table of contents. And here you can see how they have adapted it. They've got the abbreviations and acronyms, that's just the same, the executive summary, then the introduction, and then it goes into more detail, the description of the research location, the justification of the study, which in some you may call background. Objectives, that's the same. Literature review, so again, it's breaking down the methodology into more than one part. The literature review, and then we have the framework of reference will be the conceptual framework and the scope of the research, and then going into the methodology. The socio-cultural impediment, which, as you will see, is actually the longest part of the case study. It goes into a lot of detail. I wasn't able to transcribe the whole thing because, you know, it's like 5 or 6 pages. And here we have, this is getting into the advocacy plan and the recommendations and conclusions, which are being reversed. So again, you see that you're using this as a base, but you're not tied to it. It's not that you're restricted by it. It's a place to grow. It's a structure within which you can grow and make the changes that you need for your case study. Any questions here? I'm sure there are some. Any comments, maybe? Anything that draws your attention? Oh.
Please, what is the meaning of that I2, that acronyms?
Item 2. Fatima, which one? Item 2.
The Roman 2.
The Roman 2 acronyms. Very good question. Excellent question. So what are acronyms? Do you remember when we looked at punctuation, we said, for example, that an acronym, for example, the acronym, let me write it in the chat, for an acronym is a short way of saying something. So for example, if we say IIWF, this is an acronym you all know. This is an acronym for the organization that is organizing this diploma, the International Indigenous Women's Forum. That's an acronym. So it's a shorter way of saying something. Let's think of another one that maybe you all know. During the pandemic, we all got very used to getting messages or news, new press releases from the WHO. It's an acronym which stands for World Health Organization. So you, as I'm just going to show you in the very first part, any more questions? It's excellent that Fatima made that question, because I'm sure there were other people who were thinking the same question and were a little bit too shy to ask. So thank you, Fatima, for asking that question. So we're going to show you here the abbreviations and acronyms that appear in this case study. So you can see that there are a lot of them, and thank goodness that they listed them all, because many of them will not be international. Well, some of them are international. UN is international. STD is probably fairly well known. These ones maybe. This one, the ILO, is maybe well known. IDP, internally displaced person, that's pretty well known. But a lot of these are very specific acronyms. And so every one of your case studies will have specific abbreviations and acronyms. So these need to go up front in the first part of your case study. And I would still suggest, and I think I did give you this example in punctuation, the first time that you introduce an acronym in your writing, you need to write it all out. Write up, for example, you would write Ambassador Girls Scholarship Program, and then you would put AGSP in brackets. When we did it in punctuation, when we did brackets. And then after that, you're just going to put AGSP, because everyone should remember what you're referring to. I can see some questions here. There was somebody before Nukila, but I can't remember who. Nukila, you go, and then we'll go back to whoever it was.
Yeah, I would like to ask you about the terminology in local language. Can I we have some terms. Can I put on the abbreviation or acronym section, Joanna? Like local wisdom things, the abbreviation.
I think maybe you're talking about a glossary.
Oh yes, sorry, glossary. Okay,
so
got
a
it.
glossary is different from the acronyms and abbreviations, because a glossary is, as you correctly say, is a local language. And for example, let me just jump back. This one did not have a glossary, but the other case study that I have chosen for examples did have a glossary, and the glossary will normally go at the end. Fee, it was your question, wasn't it? Ask away.
Hello, everyone. My question is, I need maybe a little bit of clarification on how to generate conceptual framework.
Okay, we're getting there. And I think also there is another, I'll ask Angela. There is a specific part of the course that deals with that specifically, more than I deal with it, but we're getting there. So conceptual framework. Okay, Daisy. Your audio isn't working, Daisy. You're not on mute anymore, but we still can't hear you. Go out and come back in and see if that helps. because, or try a different headset. Okay. We are going to move on, but we can come back for your question. Don't worry. I won't forget you. Okay. So executive summary. Now, the executive summary, you remember that we talked about it at the very beginning. It's going to have the core of your all the key questions or the key issues of your case study. Now, my recommendation, and this goes to the writing process, is write the executive summary after everything else. Do not attempt to write it at the beginning. If you attempted to write it at the beginning, it's like you're never going to, it's going to be very, very difficult because you don't have all the information. It's much better to use all the other bits, do all the other bits, and then you say, okay, well, this happened, this happened, this happened, and these are my recommendations and conclusions. And you see how short it is. I mean, this is a 30-page case study. This is quite long. I think one of your early question was the length. And from what I have seen, they're between 15 and 30 pages with photos, and about 8 pages were photos. So maybe it's like writing sort of 20, 22, something like that. Between 15 and 25, I would say. But you see your case study, this is like one page. So it's not very long. So write it afterwards. I will put that in the notes. Write it at the end. Okay, the next part is the introduction. Again, it's not very long. And here are some nice acronyms of how to introduce do you see? So look, the Mbororo Social and Cultural Development Association, which it's introduced in brackets. And after that, then we'll just see this. This is how you introduce an acronym. And then, so this is the introduction, and it's a bit more, is going into more specific detail, you'll see in the introduction. And a little bit more of the history. Then this was the part that definitely went outside the original template. The description of the research location, it may be relevant for you, it may not, but this, in this case, it was relevant. So there's a lot of like geographical description, and in fact there was a map as well, which was also very helpful. The justification of the study, or as I said to you, this could also be called the background. And so this is like, this presents the problem about these young girls not being sent to school, and why is it they're not being sent to school. And this is trying to identify, I think this one sentence is a very clear, very logically structured sentence. These are some of the reasons why we decided on this topic. So here they're giving like the reasons, and then they give this nice sentence. To try and identify these cultural impediments, highlight some of the rights and interests that the Mbororo girl child has toward education, and propose possible solutions to help curb this problem that is plaguing the Mbororos of the Northwest and West. Okay, so in this one sentence, it's really making a summary, and we're going to work on summarizing techniques today as well about the justification. Remember, you will have all this material. At the end of today, this will be up on the campus and you can download it. And I think it's going to be very helpful for you to understand how to do your case study. Okay, if there are no questions on this aspect, I'm going to move on. The objectives. This was an interesting one because it was broken down into general objectives and into specific. Identify cultural impediments, highlight some of the rights, identify, highlight, propose. Now you see she had it's two people, they had a very nice use of bullet points. Remember when we did tabulation, and you see each of them is, I start with a lovely strong verb, identify, highlight, propose. All these are actions. So this, it's clearly showing that the case study is all about action, about where it's going with the actions. So these were the objectives. And the conceptual framework, I didn't transcribe it because it was too long. Do you want me to look at it? Do you want me to get it up and we look at it? Okay, give me 1 minute. You'll have to bear with me 1 minute. Here's Minerva. Minerva's coming to help us with the fantastic, except that she's going to speak in Spanish, I guess. Okay. Angela, you got Minerva to come and help us with the campus issue?
Yes,
Yes?
because it's a little difficult.
Okay. Well, imagine if is she still here? She's having problems with her. I think she's going in and out. When she comes, we'll get her to do it. So everyone's asking, Fifian had a good question about the framework. So I hadn't transcribed it because it's too long. So let me get it up. You're going to have to be patient for 1 minute, ladies. But we all know how to be patient. As I don't have it quite to hand. Okay. So here's the whole document. I can ask Minerva if I can post this whole document, but I'm not sure that she will let me. So here's the objectives, here's the literature review. So this was one of your questions as well, that some of you said that nobody had written about your topic. Well, then I think you can say that. I mean, you can say nobody has written about my topic. This is a new topic that is to be explored. But if there is some literature, in this one, they analyze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people. And do you see how they summarize it? They don't say the whole thing. They go in, they make like a paragraph summarizing the main ideas. And in a bit, this is something that you can get ChatGPT to do for you. How many of you use ChatGPT? None of you? None. Okay, well then you're just going to have to read it or start. But it's one of the things that you can get ChatGPT to do for you. Is you can say, you give it a document and you say, summarize it for me in 1 paragraph. Obviously, and this I'm going to show you, you have to work on it afterwards. You can't just use like copy paste. That won't work because ChatGPT is not a person. It's like artificial intelligence. So you have to add your value as well. Of course. Good. So conceptual framework. Minerva, me cuenta cuando usted quiere compartir. Usted me dice y yo dejo de compartir.
Sí, solamente que no tengo claro qué es lo que
Mira, lo que
necesitan.
yo voy a dejar de compartir. Ladies, I'm going to stop sharing. Minerva, me cuentan que no han podido subir la tarea porque no saben cómo subirla. Y la verdad yo no les sé explicar tampoco.
Ok, entonces la busco y ahorita le digo.
Sí, entonces si usted abre el campus y nos puede mostrar, creo que sería lo más práctico. ¿Puede ser?
Sí, claro.
Okay,
Sí, lo voy a
perfecto.
abrir.
Okay, so Minerva is just opening up the campus and she's going to share and show us how to do it so that everyone can upload.
Ok. Mm. Mm.
Yo ya le facilité para que usted pueda compartir la pantalla.
Sí, un segundito.
Mhm. Ladies, I will translate for you. I will interpret. It's not my favorite job, but I can do it when pressed.
Mm. Mm.
I'm sorry, teacher. My phone is low, no electricity since yesterday, so it's like I will not continue the class.
Oh dear, Fatima, we'll miss you. Mhm.
Thank you. I'll miss you too.
Okay, make sure you watch the recording, please.
All right, thank you. Yeah, they should send in the WhatsApp when the electricity is back. I'll watch it.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Bueno,
So you're going into the forum,
ajá,
into the campus, and you see
entre
the
el campo.
task. Click on the task. And then you see there's the task, which is to write the abstract, which is like the summary of your case study, and to write a table of contents for your case study. That's all in English, okay? Minerva, lo que no pueden hacer, lo que no saben hacer, y ahí, ¿qué pasa?
Reply.
And then press reply.
Advance.
Y advance, espera, pero ahí lo tienen que poner copy paste, o sea, lo tienen que pegar. No pueden subir un documento.
Sí, aquí está.
Or
Attachment.
you can attach it as a document. Look, you can drag and drop.
Yes.
Drag and drop. So
Mention
reply.
here and
So reply advanced,
Ujú,
and then y ahí lo suben.
ujú.
Okay, let's see. Prueba. So the prueba is test, and then choose file. She's going to upload a file. And there you go. And post to forum. Okay, so it's 3 different steps. Advanced, no, reply, advanced, and post to forum.
Ujú.
Okay. So, Naina, perhaps you can try it in the break. Perhaps everyone could try it in the break.
Yes.
But don't
Sure.
confuse me. Then I think you.
Thank you. I got it.
We've
Now I
got
can
it.
do.
Okay. Minerva, listo, me parece que listo. Y ya que usted fue tan amable de venir a ayudarnos, tenemos una consulta de Fifian que dice que quiere ayuda particularmente, o sea, ahora le estoy mostrando un ejemplo del conceptual framework, del marco conceptual. ¿Eso en qué parte del curso está? ¿En qué parte del diploma? Porque eso, o sea, obviamente yo lo trato, pero de otro punto de vista.
No tengo muy claro a qué se refiere.
El marco conceptual.
Joanna,
Ángela.
Yes, I think we will work this issue the next module. Yes, and if you, yes, and we have a meetings for the case studies.
Yeah.
If you want, we can work together the concepts.
Okay. So it's like the reason they're not so confident about doing it is because they haven't done it yet.
Yes.
Okay. Fifian, does that answer your question? Bueno,
Yes,
muchísimas
Fifian.
gracias, Minerva.
Se tarda un poco dependiendo del internet. El mío es muy malo, entonces se tarda en
Bueno,
subir documentos.
pero se puede. Bueno,
Dejó
Minerva,
porque-
if you jump out, then I can
Ok.
continue. Si usted se deja de compartir, ahí está.
Ujú.
Bueno,
Okay.
so thank you very much, Minerva. Okay, so Fifian, did you get Angela's response that you haven't yet seen conceptual framework? You're going to see it in the next part of the diploma, and that's why it's still something that maybe makes you feel you're correctly wondering what it is. Absolutely. But I'm going to show you an example because I think that's always helpful to see an example. So let's go to the Bororo example. So it starts with this, I'm pretty sure is the United Nations, not word for word, but it's discussing the human right to education. So this is what does a framework mean? If we think of a framework, literally is a frame. I mean, like a picture frame. So it helps us understand what angle, because we could be talking about these girls. We could be talking about their some other aspect of these girls. For example, the issue that whether they have access to health, for example. And then we would have started the conceptual framework would have been that everyone has a right to access to health. It would have been through that prism. It's like it's a way of viewing things. But here we're going to start with education. Fifian, does that explain it a bit? Is that helpful?
Yes.
Okay, good. So imagine that whenever you're looking at a problem, it's like, what is your angle? And different people will have a different angle about it, a different way of viewing it. It's like like anything in life. So, and then it starts to go in more, how does this education and Indigenous people? So I think that's why, because they mentioned there was an United Nations Indigenous peoples resources. So it continues with that. And then it talks about the international legal arsenal at an international level, what's already happened. So this is all big picture stuff. This is all like you're going out. You're going out. It talks about the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. It talks about the Committee of the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, which is obviously something a little not international. This is more specific. And then it talks about, it goes back to the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, what was adopted. And then how does this affect the indigenous communities in Africa? So again, what has she done here? What have they done here? They've done this. So this is like a little introduction of the framework, and then they go into more detail, breaking it down with, these are called, so it's like we have headings and subheadings. So anytime we break something down, it's a little bit like signposts on the road. It's like they're helping us to understand where we want to go, where we want the reader to go. So the reader here knows that you're going to talk about this topic. Then they know that you're going to talk about, now you're going to go into Africa. So here you were like international. Now you're going to go into Africa. And so now you're going into more detail in Africa. So you see, all these headings and subheadings will help you to organize your writing, will help you to understand. And then domestic mechanisms. So now we're going to even more detail in which not just Africa, we're going into the Cameroon. So we're kind of deep diving. We're going from world, Africa, Cameroon. We're getting smaller and smaller. So this is going to be, I think, a very helpful, maybe what I should do for you is to transcribe these titles. I think that might be more helpful. I will do that before I post the PowerPoint. Okay, I will do that. And then here it goes into more, and then talks about the different efforts, non-government NGOs. Here we've kind of lost the titles and the subtitles, and I think this was this this particular organization. You see how long it is? So it all goes in, and then what this is, you know, this is what worked and what didn't work as well. Okay, so is this does that begin? I mean, obviously with the next part of the next module in the diploma, you're going to have a more in-depth understanding of a conceptual framework. But I think if you think of like going from the big to the small, then that should be. Then is this a helpful? Is this enough detail? Okay, I'm going to jump out of the why is this doing this? Misbehaving. Sorry about this. Okay, here we are, literature review and conceptual framework, but I'm going to include those subtitles because I think then that makes it clear that we are doing that. We're doing that zoom in. It's almost like an inverted pyramid. And that should help. So here was the scope of the research. So here it's saying, and I think again, this was one of your questions the very first day, it's like what, I think it might have been Fatima. Fatima said there was a lot of literature. So some of you had the problem of no literature, and some of you had the problem of too much literature. So I said, well, you're going to have to define it. As long as you define it, then that's fine. So here, she's only addressing these particular communities. She's not addressing any more, she's not talking about any other communities. And so this, again, it makes us realize very clearly the area that she's addressing. And as you can see, this was not so long, the scope of the research. Then she describes the methodology, and I'm willing to bet that you're probably going to look at that again in the next module. So you've got primary data collection, you've got focus group discussions, you've got question and answer sessions, face-to-face interviews, questionnaires, content analysis from all these, and different types of research methodology. So this, you would need to define your methodology in a short paragraph like this. The social cultural impediment, as I said, was the longest part of the case study. And you can see here how it was broken down into different into the different parts of the different headlines, as it were. So and again, following, like, you know, one follows the other. So one issue, then this was kind of like a moral value. 9.3, early and forced marriages. 9.4, prioritization of reproduction. And again, then religious misinterpretation, non-violation of parents' will. So they're all like different aspects of the same problem, but analyzing them separately. And of course, poverty and understanding the value of education. And then talking about other, you know, prioritizing earning a living rather than a formal education. So you can see how this was like the core. I would say this was the core of this particular case study, and it went into a lot of detail, analyzing each different aspect of the problem. But remember, analyzing them separately. And this also has to do with our logical structure that we were working on last week, like not mixing it all together, like analyzing each aspect separately. And that's going to make it easier and with these headlines to understand. So I have to add in titles, the subtitles for the conceptual framework, which I will do this afternoon for you. Then there was also, and I thought this was interesting because I think it's interesting for you to understand that, to see that, in fact, as I have it open, I could show this to you, couldn't I? Because I couldn't transcribe it. It was too, it wouldn't transcribe. So here, this was this really, really long bit. You see, it's like, I think there were like 7 or 8 pages of all the different aspects of the same problem analyzed. And then here we have the advocacy plan. So the advocacy plan, rather than being text with some quotes, which is also, we're going to look at this in the second half today, how to quote different voices from the community or different experts. Here the advocacy plan is in a table. And so this makes it, again, it's a way of making it easier to understand. So we have the different blocks of information: the strategy, the activity, the time frame, the responsibility, the collaborator, means of verification. Let's just look at this first one. So we'll share finding and raise awareness. So this was the strategy. So sharing the findings of this research. And the second was to participate in community events and celebrate this, to produce posters. And so these were the time frames for each of these strategies. The responsibility was this group. The collaborator was this group. And how was this verified? Well, the research report and the examination. So you can see here that a table, if you had to explain this information, this could take pages, couldn't it? I mean, it would be like very complicated. Whereas in a table, what it does is it shows all the information and it jumps off the page at us. It's much easier to understand. So this could be another way if you have some sort of complicated information. And there's about, I think it goes up to, I think this is it, just down to 4. So you can see again, different types of aspects of it and the different ones. Okay, any questions here? But I think this could be quite a useful device for you to include a table. Again, not set in stone. If it works for your information, for your case study, include a table. If it doesn't work, don't. Not set in stone. Recommendations. These were also divided into 3 different subtitles. And so the sensitization, providing scholarship, and train. Here, I would have liked a verb rather than sensitization. I would say raise awareness. I would have said raise awareness. I would have written that rather than sensitization. And then we've got provide and train. Nice active verbs. Remember, they have to be the same part of speech, which is why I'm suggesting a rewrite for sensitization. I would say raise awareness. And so there's 3 main recommendations, but you remember, like the case, the main part of the case study had like 9 or 10 different points. And so we've managed to get the recommendations. We've managed to consolidate them into 3, so it's not so lengthy. And the conclusion. So here we go back to, we go the big picture again. We go back to our to our geography, and then what has happened to the geography, because this has clearly affected it, about the children not being able to go to school, and then the socio-cultural factors, and you know, and there's still this issue with the not sending the girl children to school. Then annexes. In this case, there was just annexes, which were photos. Remember, they must be captions. Photos are not going to have any value if they are just photos standing alone. So again, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I have the case study open, and I'm just going to give you a quick show of the photos. And in this one, there was no glossary, Nukila. But you maybe here, this would be a good moment to put your glossary. So I'm going to put or glossary. I'm going to put that in on my template. I'm going to make that correction. Okay. But you see, so here we have the family photos taken after this, cross-section of community members during focus groups. So they're showing this is referencing the methodology as well. Like these were group discussions, they were focus group discussions, so talking about the type of methodology. And all these ones, family photos, a cross-section of participants, and then different parts of the community. So you can see here that it's not, we're not just thinking, oh, I'm going to add photos to make it look pretty. If I'm going to add photos because they are adding value. Again, the photos add value, and they're referencing your methodology as well. So this is also important. Okay, so I've shown you a case study. I've shown you how it adapts to the template. Are there any questions or anything anyone will comment? Is this a little clearer now that I've shown this to you? Yes? It's like now you're kind of actually, you feel as though you can hold on to this structure, and you can see that this structure is adaptable, and that it's going to adapt to the needs of your case study. It's not that when you look at that, you think like, oh my goodness, how am I going to make that work? No, oh, I'm going to do this like this. I could do this like this. I could do this like this. And it's going to be, everyone's is going to be a little bit different. And that's a good thing. That means that you've used it in the correct way. Okay. So now I think you're going to be much more confident about using it. Good. So if we have no questions about the case study, I'm going to move on to the writing process. And we talked about the fear of the blank page, or as I said, the blank screen. This has now become the blank screen. So my recommendation is that you start with paper. That you, even if you have a beautiful laptop or a computer, you start with paper and you start to put down all your ideas. Because what you, in the very first page, and this sounds a little intimidating, I know, but we call the first, we can say that the writing process is divided into 4 stages. The first one, if you're writing something creative, which you're not, it's called, that's why it's called the madman. But in your case, because it's not creative, it's research. So here you want to say like, well, so-and-so has written this about the topic, or maybe as one of you said, nobody has written anything about the topic. So you're just going to be like, you know, well, this is what I have observed. I went into the community, I talked to this. So like you're going to bring all your material together. And at this stage, it doesn't matter if it's a total mess. It's going to be like all over the place. We're going to have something from here, something from here, something from here, something from here. Then the next stage is going to be the architect. The architect is the one who does the planning, who does the structure. So then maybe we go back to our structure. We go back to our template. And we say, okay, well, this information is going to go in here. This information is going to here. Remember, I must write my executive summary last when I finished absolutely everything. Then I'm going to go back and write my executive summary. But the architect is going to help us plan all that. Then, and only then, are we, and for this, I am a big fan, I don't know if you are a big fan of Post-its. Because Post-its, again, are not set in stone. So maybe you start with like your madman, but it doesn't have to be Post-it. It can be just like little bits of paper, because if you don't have a Post-it, don't worry. But you could use like little different papers. So you're going to write down, well, this information is here. This is one of the books that I'm going to reference. This is an article I'm going to reference. This is the geography. This is the table, whatever it is. And so maybe you're going to have all those and all, like, 8 different bits of paper. And then when you have your template, you're going to be able to like move them around and put them into a different order, an order that you're happier with. Then, and only then, you start to write. And this is called the carpenter. The carpenter is the one who makes the thing. So you're going to sit down and start writing. And my advice is, again, because the writing process can be so intimidating, that you write the easiest bit first. So let's imagine that you have some information that you've got from somewhere. So all you have to do is paraphrase it. It's like somebody's told you a story about your topic or whatever, or you read something about your topic. So all you're doing is paraphrasing it. So go back to there. We're going to look at how to paraphrase, which is saying the same thing, but in your own words, not in the words of the person who said it. So you just start paraphrasing something that is kind of fairly mechanical. And not too when you're kind of inventing the wheel, because again, that's going to reduce your stress level. And then you're going to start, okay, this is not so bad. I can do this. I've already got this ready. Okay, I'm going to bring in this. And then it all starts to come together, and you'll see, because this, I'm 100% sure this will happen to all of you, is that once you start writing, you're thinking like, oh, this is coming together. This is really nice. And then you get something beautiful that Ariana, our speaker from the community from Colombia today, told us, you'll get flow. Once you start writing and once you really get into your topic, you're kind of like, you don't want anyone to stop you. You're like saying to the family, no, leave me alone. I need this, and you're into it. And then you get that lovely flow. And that is kind of like what every writer dreams of, to have that moment of flow. So try and keep that time for yourself. I know it's going to be tough for many of you to find that time for yourself, but I'm confident you can do it. Okay. And then the last stage of the writing process is better if you leave a bit of time for it, like leave some space, maybe a couple of days, and we bring in the judge. What does the judge do? The judge has 2 roles here, editing and proofreading, and we're going to look at the difference. But it's very important not to bring in the judge too early, because if you bring in the judge too early, it's like, imagine you're at this stage, you're writing, and you're writing like, well, this person said this, and all the time the judge is saying like, that's a horrible sentence, find a better word. No, that's not right. Don't you remember the teacher said this? And like, if you bring that judge in too early, the judge will literally stop you from writing. So it's very important to bring in the judge later. Like, you have your everything written up and you think, okay, I'm doing pretty well. Now it's looking good. Right, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go and do whatever else it is that I'm due. I'm going to come back in a couple of hours, and then I'm going to say, ooh, this bit could be here. This is not structured quite right. Here I need a few more headings. And then, ooh, this needs to be corrected. Let me look up this punctuation, like that. The judge's role should be separate and not mixed in. Does that make sense? Do you all see why the judge you have to bring in the judge later? Don't let the judge in too soon. Okay. Do you like this? Has anyone ever heard of this? I love this, the 4 stages of the writing process. It's one of my favorite things. I think Dr. Betty Sue Flowers sums it up so beautifully. And it is, again, it's more manageable if we can break it down into these separate parts. Good. So, let us continue then. Because I haven't made you do anything. So far this morning, I'm the only one who's done any work. So I'm going to make you do some work in a minute. So editing, now we're talking about the judge, editing with a style sheet. So what do we mean by a style sheet? A style sheet is like a useful, and I would say like take a separate piece of paper, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to be using these resources. I'm going to be using this punctuation. Even something like how I write the numbers. If I write, 1 as a number, or if I write it as a word. Things like the font and the size of the font, that kind of thing, all that kind of thing. You're going to, because maybe you'll be like, oh, what was I going to do? Was I going to do this? Was I going to do that? And so keep all that information on a style sheet that you can refer to. That's always very useful. And editing, there are 2 different processes for the judge. The editing has more to do with the structure, but we're also looking at the grammar, we're looking at spelling, we're looking at tone. Maybe one of the problems that I noticed a little bit is when we're not completely neutral in tone. Remember our case study, we are just describing a scenario. We don't put our own emotions there. And that's important in a case study for it to be taken seriously. Whether there are too many words, whether the sentences are too long, whether it's not flowing, whether we're not using a connector like however or moreover, whether we're getting the grammar mixed up or using a word wrong, and as I say, not flowing. So those things are all things that we are looking out for with our in our editing process. Now, we were going to talk a little bit about technology. You said, so the first thing that you can use literally is word spell check. And I would imagine that you are all using that, aren't you? Do you all know how to use word spell check? Okay, let me show you on the case study. Okay, so you can see here, so let me get this down. The mine speaks to me in Spanish because, I'm in Argentina, so it speaks to me in Spanish, but yours will speak to you in whatever language you need. You will have it set to whatever language you need. I mean, I actually write in English always, so I don't know why it speaks to me in Spanish, but it does. And so where is spell check? Revise, I think it's called the same thing in English. And revise and language. And then I've got it, normally I have it set, let's put it to the United States, accept. English, United States, there are many different types of English, and you can choose. So it doesn't like this word, mbororo. It doesn't know this word. So it's flagging up red. So I'm going to add it to the dictionary so that it no longer flags up. And then it will only flag up if I write it wrong. Let's see what else word is picking up. It doesn't like that word. Let me see if doesn't like these words. Okay, let's imagine that instead of writing clearly understand, it is clearly understand. Let's see if it's not flagging that up. Normally it would. It is clearly The spell check doesn't appear to many of, let's try they. No, it's very odd. This is not working here. Let's fix this. Let's see if we can get it to work on a different one. Okay. So this so we can use spell check, and we can use just a minute. Sorry, this has gone a bit crazy. I'm just going to, let's see if I can get it to work on a different Word document. Tell you what, back when we come back after the break, I will show you the spell check. So I wanted to talk about something different, which is other tools that we can use. So because tech has a lot of tools that we can use. This one, for example, is also free, Grammarly. So I've given you the link to it, and there's a free version. Obviously, there's a paid version, but you can add this, and it will correct your grammar, and it will make suggestions, and it has other uses as well. Has anyone ever heard of Grammarly? Nobody's ever used it? Yes? Naina, you have. And do you like it? You like it? You find it handy? Yep, great. So you can definitely use Grammarly. There are other ones as well, but I think Grammarly is probably the most well-known one, and it has a lot of like different tools and different aspects of it. So here we are. So Grammarly is one, ChatGPT is another one. So Grammarly you can use for grammar and for plagiarism. Now ChatGPT, again, it has free version and paid version. ChatGPT can be useful for creating a document. I am not suggesting that you work with it to create your case study, but what it can be useful, for example, to summarize something. But remember, ChatGPT is only as good as what goes in. And you also need to check if it's kind of saying somebody said this, you need to check that it actually happened, because it will invent information. And so this has a real danger that it will invent information. So I do advise you to be careful with it. And if you don't feel confident with it, then just don't use it. Then some of you were working with translations. You told me that you needed a couple of who I think it was one of you said that you were going to be writing in Thai. No, you were going to be writing in English, but you wanted your community to understand, so you're going to write it in Thai. So here, DeepL is quite a sophisticated, it's much better than Google Translate. It's quite a sophisticated automatic translation tool. But again, I would advise you to only use it. I mean, like, you're going to use it, but then check it. Don't just use it and copy paste the result, because it's not good enough. It's like you're always going to have to, if you're not the person who can check it, you're going to have to get someone else to check it. Okay. So had you heard of DeepL? Had anyone heard of it? No? So what do you use? You use Google Translate, which I think is not as good as DeepL. And the other day, somebody in a breakout room, I heard you had like a voice translator. Who was that? Nukila? No, was it you? No? No, somebody was using a voice, like a voice translator, but I would be interested to know which one it was. Is there any other technology that you are currently using that you would like to share with the group that you think is helpful, that I haven't included here? No? Okay. But these ones, I think Grammarly is probably the most useful. Word spell check is basic, and you can use that, and DeepL. as well. I think these ones are the most useful. Okay, so I think that it's a good moment. I do have a task for you, but we can do the task when we get back, which is editing this text. And so, but I think given that it's 25 past the hour, I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to take a 10-minute break. Okay? So we'll come back at 25 minutes to the hour, right? I'll put it in the chat. Ladies? Okay. So you should all be able to download from the campus or here in the chat the handout for this exercise. And I'm going to put you into 2 different breakout rooms. So what do we have to do in this exercise? We have to go and look at the text and correct any mistakes that we think we may find. And you can use Word for this. I realized that Word has changed, and so there's like a tick. Now you check if you want to check for grammar and spelling, and it will give you that possibility. Okay, so let me pop you into 2 different breakout rooms. And I am going to give you, I think, 10 minutes. I think you will need 10 minutes for this activity. I think it's going to take you a little bit of time. Okay, I'll come and check up on you. So basically, I just want you to go through the text and say, well, this is a mistake. This needs fixing, you know, so you're going to need someone. I think you're not going to be able to do this on a cell phone. You need someone. Okay, let me tell you the groups. So we check that each group has somebody with a laptop or a computer. Ananya, Daisy, and Naina, who there has a laptop or a computer?
Today I have a laptop.
Excellent. Okay, well, I think you're going to be in charge then. And then the other group is Doman, me, Nukila, and Fi. Who there has a laptop? Doman? Okay. It looks like it's up to you then. Okay, so I make it 22 and I'll bring you back in at 10:02. Off you go.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Can you see this?
No.
What are the problems? Enter a screen. Okay. Can you see this now?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me the correction, then I'll correct it. Did you find any error?
I'm just reading it right now.
Okay. If anybody can find any error, just tell me, I'll correct it. And I'm also
I think Kenya and use comma. It's not. I think it's incorrect.
in this side.
Yes.
Okay. Kenya has a total population estimated at.
Naina,
Yes.
Kenya has a total estimated population, I think.
In which paragraph?
First line.
Kenya has a total population estimated.
Yes, I think Kenya has a total estimated population.
So yeah, need to remove control. Kenya has a total estimated population at 80 people. People are peoples. Maybe we need to remove this one. There's a repeated word. They are best in
Naina. Okay, you will correct, then I will tell you. The largest native ethnic group is হবে, not being. Like
the largest native ethnic groups
is, not being.
Yeah. Each need to remove being.
Nanya.
Yes.
In the massive community are one of the few tribes that have managed to stick the most. This line I think we need to correct. The have to manage to maintain. I think stick work is not proper use. I think we should use maintain.
To manage, to maintain.
Yes. You should cut stick, then
Yeah.
replace the word maintain.
Yeah, need to cut the stick. Community are one of the few tribes that have managed to maintain, maybe we need to use the maintain the most of their traditions and keep their culture alive.
Naina,
Yes.
after maintain, you should remove the.
The so
Yes.
here. Is it right to use double two?
Manage to maintain most of their traditions and keep the culture alive. Yes. They are
Okay.
based on. Naina,
Yes.
in the second paragraph, first line,
Yeah.
with the, it dark with the, yes, you can cut it.
We need to cut. I need to cut the or with.
The.
How did you get on? Not
Really
quite
loud.
ready? You well, it was a long job. I know it was a long job, but it was just the idea was that you got started with it. Good. Well done. So, would the first group like to share what you got?
First group.
That was Ananya, Daisy, and Naina.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share the screen.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we are not completed all the text.
Okay, don't worry, don't worry. What have you changed?
First we remove the comma from here, and
Oh
we
yes, very good, excellent. And
we replace the estimated here.
Lovely.
And then we got the being and add
yes.
it.
Yeah, you got, and you added is excellent, because the being We do use being, but not so much. Not so much as in this passage. Yeah, it's definitely one of the things that I would correct there. Very good. Okay, nice. All right. Lovely. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, we remove the stick here and
Yes.
add maintain.
Maintain. And why is that? This is an interesting point because stick is the sort of word that we use in everyday conversation. It's an informal word, whereas maintain is more formal. And remember, our case study is more formal writing. Excellent. Very good. It's a synonym, and you can always search for synonyms when you're not sure of the word. Okay, good. Very nice. Lovely. Thank you, Naina. So in the other group, Doman, would you like to share yours? Your groups?
Oh, sorry. Wait, a moment, please. I think something's happening. Wait, okay. There.
Great, well done. Good. So majority, so we got rid of that comma, good. The majority being, but we could have changed that to the majority are, but you added and, which is very nice. Good. All right. And then it constitutes 6 subcommittees, just like, very nice. And then you've added an and. Good. Okay. All right. Good. Good work. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to share with you what I've got, which obviously is going to be a bit more extensive because obviously I had a little more time to do it in. And so I'm just going to show you that here. So the comma, I got rid of the being, but I like when you made it into two, you added the and. I thought that was a very nice touch. And I think maintain is a more formal word that works better. Remember, if something is a proper name, it needs capitals. And then I changed what was it? Rather than constitutes, I changed it to consists because I think that you consist of something, but you are constituted of. That you would have to use it in the passive voice. And then again, a being, I got rid of several beings. And this was a bit of a typing mistake, which we call a typo, with ever since time immemorial. And the Maasais it's the plural. There's no apostrophe there. And then here there was a problem with the verb agreeing. This has in return as well. So you can see that is those were the mistakes, but I thought you had some very good ones too. So excellent work. So this is when we are critiquing someone else. I mean, this is a job that we have to do for our own work. And maybe sometimes somebody also will ask us to do, because it's something that's hard to see in your own work. And it can be easier to correct other people's work, like in this situation, because when it's your own work, you're so involved in it. You read it so many times, you've written it. It's like it's your baby. And so it's hard to see what needs fixing. And so sometimes it might be easier to ask a colleague or a friend to have a look at it. But of course, we have to be careful when we are working with a friend to say something nice, you know. I mean, it's like maybe the person who wrote that case study, if we sent it to them, they would be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you changed all those things. So maybe we would have to say something like, it's great altogether. There's just a few things that need fixing, something like that. Make some sort of, we have to make some sort of positive comment so that they don't feel, because everyone, this happens to everyone, is that people, when we write, as I say, it's like our baby, and it's like we don't like other people being rude about it. We can get a bit upset. So you have to be very delicate and very sensitive when you are correcting someone else's work. I don't know. Have any of you ever had any experience correcting anyone else's work? No, not really.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, it may start now. Okay. And then here was the bibliography that I've used. Good. So with this, we are going to pass on to part 2. I've already popped in the corrections of the points that you wanted me to add to part 1. This is so we're going to move on to quoting. To the second part today. I think we will still manage to finish. I think, well, we're going to get everything done in time. One never knows with this how long something is going to take or not. Okay. Making very good progress. So here we're going to look at quoting techniques, how we can quote other people. We're going to look at paraphrasing. We're going to look at summarizing. We're going to look at references. And I'm going to come back to the challenges that you presented me with that you felt when we first met a week ago today, that you all said to me, where do we start? And you were all very nervous and had with all these challenges. So we're going to come back to that, and I'm going to show you how we have dealt with every one of those challenges. I hope you haven't come up with some more, but if not, you can always ask me on the campus. I will continue, obviously, to until the end of your diploma. I will continue to open the campus so to see if you have any other questions. Right. So how can we quote? Obviously, quoting is something that is very important because every single time we use any information that is not our own, we need to say where we got it from. We need to reference it. And we must do this because otherwise we can be accused of plagiarism. So it's very important as you get together your material to make a note and to write down, like, this person said this person said that. Don't wait until the end to look for your quotes, because by that time you're going to have forgotten. And so this is very important to be very organized about it. Otherwise, you can be accused of plagiarism. So how do we quote? We can use quotation marks, whether they're double or single. Double is more common. And we basically put all the, if somebody is saying something, then we put it all inside the double quotations. And this is pretty much the case for, I mean, it's slightly different in the States and in Britain, but basically the rule is like the tendency these days in Britain is becoming more like the US. So I would just recommend that you follow the US model, which is to put everything inside the quotation marks. This is pretty much what they're doing. So let's look an example. And everything is going to go inside. So this was an example from the case study that we were just seeing. So here you can see that it's all inside the quotation marks. Do you see? Well, actually, he's put it outside. He's done it British. I would do it outside. I would do it outside. But it's not a serious mistake. But, maybe it's better to do it outside. And here, what is also important is to note how long this text is. If this text, this quote, is longer than 50 words, again, you can do this on Word. You simply select the passage and you can check the number, how long it is. And if it is longer than 50 words, it's going to stand alone. What do I mean by this? It's going to have like some sort of space, and you can also even set it off like this. You can even put it like this. And this, I prefer that. I think it's easier to read like this than like this. You're sort of confusing it with the text. And so this is it's standing alone. This is what we call setting off or standing alone. So you've got this quote. But if it's shorter than 50 words, then it's going to stay within the text. For example, this quote here, it's almost like a storytelling. It's part of the same sentence. Maimuna Dua of Banjum community states that if there is means, the girl should go to school because young girls who are too young cannot get married. So they use that time, however, okay. And then it just carries on because this is shorter than 50 words. So this is going to be within the same text. So this is basically the rule that you need to bear in mind. I think it's a fairly straightforward rule. And remember, if it's long, it's going to have to be set off by itself. And if it's shorter than 50 words, it can go in the text. Okay, so clear so far? How else? What are the different ways in which this is one of the questions that you asked me on the first day. How can you tell other people's stories? Because of course, in your case study, you're going to have many other people's stories. So there are 3 different ways of telling other people's stories. One is to quote them. And to quote means like textually, like exactly what they said. And if it's written down, obviously it's easier. The other is to paraphrase, and the other is to summarize. So this is the first exercise I have for you today. Let me just check. You should have access to this in your, I will stop sharing. No, this is the first exercise in this part. So let me pop the handout for this part in the chat. You can also download it from the campus, whatever is easiest for you. And the first exercise is, how should this passage be quoted? So do you want me to go back and show you the rule again? Yes. You see, you've already forgotten the rule, ladies. It's a very straightforward rule. So you can take a screenshot. When quoting, if the text is shorter than 50 words, it stays in the text. So that means the opposite is also true. If it's longer than 50 words, you're going to set it off. Now, I do not think that you really need to be in a breakout room to do this task. I think you can just do it by yourselves. You can look at it. Obviously, you can count it manually, or you can copy paste and check the word count. Everyone ready? Mm-hmm. Who would like to share? Who would like to share it? Doman, would you like to share?
Okay.
Go ahead. So how many words did you find?
More than 50.
More than 50, definitely more than 50. And so you set it off, didn't you? You set it off. It's not included in the text. So, so very nice. So states, and then it's set off. Did everyone get the same answer? Yes?
Yes.
It's a nice simple rule, isn't it? For once, a nice simple rule that you can remember. 50 is a number that I think anyone can remember. And if not, and if you don't remember it, you can come back to it because you have all this material, all these resources are for you. Okay, great, super. Thank you, Doman. Lovely. So let us continue then. To look at any more questions about quoting. As you can see, I mean, the thing about, so I'm going to show you, I've got exactly the same. It was 128 words, so it needs to be set off, absolutely. And I always like to set it off like this, but you don't have to as well. It can be against this margin as well. It's a question of taste. But this is definitely good. So paraphrasing, what do we mean what do we mean by paraphrasing? What does it mean if I say, could you paraphrase something?
We say it in our own words. Oh, sorry.
Fee, you tell us.
Paraphrasing, according to me, is only putting out important points.
I think you are confusing it with
Summarizing.
yes. The summarizing is when it's just the highlights, just the important points. So paraphrasing, okay, so paraphrasing is when you put it into your own words. Okay, put it into your own words. So I'm going to paraphrase a little story that Fee told me one day when we were in the break or something. I can't remember when. I think when we were waiting because we didn't realize that we missed the blessing by mistake last Friday. And we were talking about her name. And Fee told me that most people call her Vivian. So I'm telling you that story in my own words, that this is what she told me. Most people call her Vivian because they don't know how to say her name. So paraphrasing it, but it is an interesting point, Fee, because often they will go together. So it is an interesting point that you bring up about the summarizing. And we're going to look at summarizing as well. So the paraphrasing is when you express someone else's ideas using your own words. So here, for example, in this, we have that example that from before, the quote from before. So I put it into my words and I've said, as Maimuna Dawood of Banjum community states, where possible, girls should go to school, particularly if they're young and cannot marry. They should use that time to go to school if it is feasible. Once they marry, they will have to stay at home and are no longer able to go to school due to the marriage culture. So I've put that into my own word. Whereas in her quote, she says, if there is means, the girls should go to school because young girls who are too young cannot get married. So they can use that time to go to school if the means is there. You see, I've changed that to, what did I change that to? What word did I use? That's a bit more formal. I've used, they should go to school if it is feasible. Feasible, exactly. So I have also done a little bit of summarizing because I've made it a little bit shorter, but I've also added a word from that I would use, that I would feel comfortable, and it's not just her. And then, however, once they marry, they must stay at home and no longer go to school because that is our marital culture. So here I changed this a little bit and I said, once they marry, they have to stay at home and are no longer able to go to school because of the marriage culture. There, I'm almost saying exactly the same, but like a little bit different. So this is what we could call paraphrasing. So, so now I am going to pop you into the breakout rooms. And you are going to paraphrase exercise 2. So you're going to put this into your own words. Her story, you're going to put into your own words. Okay? So for this, I'm going to give you, I think about 7 or 8 minutes. I'm going to stop sharing and pop you into breakout rooms. I'm going to leave you in the same breakout rooms considering the limitation we have with the laptops, okay? And I make it 13 minutes past the hour, so I will bring you back at 20 minutes past the hour. So here we are paraphrasing. We are not summarizing. We are just saying the same concept as in exercise 2, but in our own words. But remember, and I can see that you're already, all of you are doing this, remember that maybe some slightly more formal word. And if you need that word, you can look for it. You can just Google it. You can look for synonyms of a word. Like there could be, well, displace is a formal word, but for those ones. Okay, off you go then.
Daisy, can I share the screen? Yeah, I'm trying to do this. Check it once if you have anything to say.
It is thanks to her. She took the job. Hello everyone, I'm joining you for the first time today.
Can you see my screen?
No. Okay, I can see it now. So what do we do? Paraphrase?
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing this as my one words. If you have anything to add or something like that, you can share with me. I'll edit it.
Nanda, can you zoom it?
According to Madam Bimbi, maybe you can just do it first and then we see.
Yeah, I completed this task as my one was. If you have anything to add, I'll change it.
Oh.
This is, this I already have done. This is
no.
Yeah.
I thought you're supposed to present in direct. Wait, is it direct or indirect?
Sorry?
Mentioned that for her survival, that's according to my understanding, My survival, you know, like write
Yeah.
a reported speech. I don't know. My survival is on to my knees.
I think we need to paraphrase it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. This is I'm paraphrasing this. So if you have anything to change or anything, I'll change. Do you have anything?
Okay, for me, my
Yes.
thinking is different. I thought, you know, we are writing like as if we are reporting something. Like according to her, she mentioned that her survival, her niece will be taking care of her needs. Like you are reporting. No, I'm not sure, but that's what I would do myself. Like a reporting speech.
So I'll edit here.
Like a displaced individual, like the way you began, I like the way you began. A displaced individual in the farm board community, Madam Bindi, mentions that her survival is owed to
mention that I need to add that.
Maybe other members of the group can say whether they have a different opinion before we alter.
Okay, sure, I'll edit it.
Someone else with a different opinion?
If anyone have different opinions, please share. I'll edit.
Should we go the Naina way or my way?
If
or we do two, Naina. You can do two.
You can do two because paraphrase means we need to put our one words. Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me, I'll type.
What?
Tell me, I'll type your ideas. This is my idea.
Displaced individual, a displaced, just like the way you began, a displaced individual.
Yeah, I'll copy first. Yeah. Then?
Okay. One internally displaced person. I mean,
a displaced individual
in the farm boat community, Madam Bindi mentions that her niece,
my niece,
no, mentions that her niece, her niece who resides in the United States.
It's no.
Taking out rooms is over.
And then, nice. Then?
That her niece who resides in the United States.
Yeah, this one, United States.
Yes.
Okay, then.
Is the you can. I just want you to make it like a reported speech. Just do it your way. I feel like I'm under pressure and I cannot operate.
No. I already done this my side, so I want to hear your point of view or your opinion. Any idea what you are going to say?
How did you get on? Was it very difficult?
Because of the group is not really difficult. Because working in the group. Because working on the group, it was not difficult.
Okay, because it's a nice group to work with. Good. Okay, lovely. Okay, so well, So Daman, me, Nukila, and Fee. Do you want to go first? Show us what you've got.
I think the Florence maybe. Florence can share.
Florence, can you share? You're muted, Florence.
We use Florence GPT. Min, can you share it?
There we go.
Okay, there.
It's just a bit, it's because of her internet. Okay, so let's see. Madam Bibi, and one of the internally displaced persons, stated that her niece, however, is the one. Here we need who is the one who took responsibility of her needs, and for this she is grateful since they survived from the. Okay, lovely, very nice, very nice indeed. Excellent, excellent, very good indeed. Lovely, great. And let's see what the other group got. Let's see who's going to share. Naina, you're the one with the laptop, aren't you? Because I don't think Daisy or Ananya have a laptop. Is that right?
Right. I'm going to share my screen.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm trying to do
you left it. You left it in the quote.
Yeah.
You did something different. Or this mention. Yeah, I see. I see what you mean. You were trying to do something a bit different. Okay, no, but a displaced individual mentions that a niece, we need the article, a niece who is in the United States, okay, is the the person who was responsible for her. Okay, good. All right, good. Okay. Excellent. Lovely. I'm going to show you what I got, and then we're going to move on to summarizing. And so this is what I got. So I said it like this. One IDP highlighted her gratitude for her niece in the US, who, since the Anglophones crisis, has taken total responsibility for her well-being. I have also made it a bit shorter as well, haven't I? Doman, would you mind putting your version in the chat? Because I'd like to add it here. I think it's a very nice one from that group. I think it's like, and it's always good to see different results. I think it's a very good one. But you can see that you may be using another word that what does she use? She just states. States is neutral. Whereas I'm adding a little bit more, but her tone is not neutral, is it? It's like, I'm alive thanks to my niece. That's not neutral. So maybe another word like highlight her gratitude or emphasized her gratitude, something like that, had taken total responsibility for her well-being. Good. So let us look then at summarizing. Now, Fee had said that making key points out of something longer is, and this is what summarizing is, absolutely. So let me give you an example. So here we have this one, the one we had before, Mamuna, Dawood, If there is a means, the girl should go to school. Well, we've already read this, so I'm not going to read it again. And I've made it much shorter by saying, as Mamuna Dawu of Banjul community states, where possible, girls should go to school because once they marry, they have to stay at home due to the marital culture. So you can see that this way I've made it much, much shorter. That I've just said like the main idea that the girls, you know, once they marry, they won't go to school anymore. That's it. End of story. And here I've just got the main idea. How do I get this main idea? And this I'm going to write in the chat with you. Do you remember the oh, lovely. Thank you. Who does what to whom? The very first time when I said you had like a long sentence and you wanted to make it shorter, you asked who does what to whom. So for example, here I'm gonna go because I realize that I think this would be a useful exercise for you. I'm going to give you the exercise in a minute, but I'm going to go backwards. Sorry. It's going to make you go a bit dizzy. Sorry. So I want to go back to quoting this one. If we were to summarize this one, which is quite long, it's easier to summarize something long than something that's already short, which is what I'm going to give you in a minute to do in the breakout rooms. But let's do this one together. Here, who are we talking about? So if our children learn work or trade, they can generate money faster than if they have to pursue long and expensive education, which we cannot even afford. And if there is no guarantee of a job in the future. Sending our children to higher education entails sending them to bigger cities away from the control of their parents. The results are both positive and negative. On the positive note, our daughters may come back home with university certificates. On the negative note, the child may come back with pregnancy or incurable sickness, which is a disgrace to the community. If they can learn a trade to generate some money and live beside us, we'll be happier. There is no guarantee if they go far away from us. So how can we, if we were going to paraphrase this, how could we could ask, who are we talking about?
The girls of
the children, aren't we? We're talking about the children. Who we're talking about? We're talking about the children. And what is the issue? What is the key issue here?
Going far away from home.
Yeah, whether they should go and study away from home, right? Whether that's an advantage or not. Here we have this very nice, this is beautifully written, like on the positive and on the negative. And this is a very nice, we call this technique compare and contrast. And anytime we can show on the good side, on the positive side, this, on the negative side, we can do on the one hand and on the other. You can also say it like that. But here they've used on the, so what's the advantage of them going to school, going to study away from home? University, some certificate. That's right. So on the positive note and and what's the disadvantage? What could happen that's a disadvantage? Pregnancy or sickness. Right. So good. So what's the closing remark? What's the key message here?
To enroll for the vocational training.
That's right. To focus on vocational training, and keeping them in within the community so that they're not exposed to those, to those dangers. So we could, by asking ourselves like who, what, and what is the key message, we can make anything a little bit shorter. So your next task today is yours is already quite short anyway, and it's the one you've already paraphrased it, you've already put it into your own words. So now you're going to ask who is doing what to whom and how you can make it a bit shorter. Okay, so I'm going to pop you back in the same groups as you're working so well in there, and I'm going to give you again 7 minutes to do this activity. Okay, to summarize it. You've got that question, who does what to whom?
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Naina, you
Yeah.
can share your screen.
Yes. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, this is our task. This one?
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that one. Just we need to summarize it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to summarize this. And to have a different opinion, please share. I'll edit it.
Okay. Has taken on total responsibility of Madam Bibi.
Anybody have anything to say? I'm ready to write.
I can't see, scroll down.
Now
Okay.
can you see?
Yes.
Okay.
Who has been caring for her needs since they were displaced by the young.
I make it so short. Then if you have anything to add,
Who has been caring for her. Who has been caring for her, or who has been taking full responsibility of her needs.
who has been taking
Full responsibility of her needs.
total
Responsibility of her needs ever since they were displaced. Blah blah. Who has been taking total responsibility of her needs.
who has been taking total responsibilities for our
responsibility.
Yes.
It should be responsibility, right? Who has been taking total responsibility of her needs, or of her, or we just say of her.
Of her needs.
No, should we say of her needs or of her? Like who has been taking total responsibility of her? Yes, don't put the needs. Just say total responsibility of her since they were displaced. Yes.
Her okay.
Of her.
Yeah, of her since they were displaced
by the Anglophone crisis in the looks good. I don't know. How about the other members? They are not saying anything, or they are okay. Who are the other members?
Ananya. Ananya, yeah. Ananya Do you have anything to say?
Oh, Daisy said her Nini is not working. Oh. Daisy, just in case you have any contribution, you can text me via WhatsApp.
I just want to add something. Who, like second line, who has been taking total responsibility, or we need to. I just suggest that who has been providing her needs.
Who has been providing?
Providing her with all.
Who has been providing her?
Who has been providing for her needs?
Who has been providing her needs?
Who has been providing and taking full responsibility of her? Yeah. Who has been providing for all her needs?
Who has been providing her needs since they were displaced.
So need to remove taking total responsibility of her.
I'm thinking, what if you say who has been providing her needs and taking total responsibility of her? Okay, just go on. You can remove it. There's no problem. There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
Yes, let's just go with her contribution this time round. Yes. Who has been providing for her needs since they were displaced by Anglophones? That's still fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Who has been providing her needs since they were displaced by. Yeah, is this right?
Who has been providing her needs or for her needs? I don't know.
For her needs?
Or her needs.
Yeah.
It's the same.
And Naina, you can also add since.
Okay, great. So did you manage to finish that? Yes? Good. Well done. Okay, let's hear from Ananya, Daisy, or Naina first to that group.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like credits. Very nice. Very nice. Providing for her needs. Very good, since they were displaced. And you've got all the information. Who is doing what to whom? Excellent. You've got all the information in there. Very nice indeed. Yeah, very good. Could you possibly copy paste that one for me in the chat so that then we can add it as an example? That would be very nice. And Doman, would you like to share what the other group did?
Okay. I think we did
very similar.
The first statement.
Ah. Oh, the long one.
The long one, yeah.
You are real what we call a sucker for punishment. But sometimes it's easier to summarize something longer than something short. It doesn't matter. The women IDPs prefer to send their children to income generating activities. That needs a hyphen. Income generating as a compound word, it needs a little hyphen in there. Lovely. Rather than to pursue higher education. Very nice. Sending their children to bigger cities is expensive and there is risk of pregnancy and severe sickness. They prefer to have their children closer to the family. Lovely. Very nice. I like it. Anyway, very good exercise. Great. Okay. Good to see you working so hard. So I'm just going to share with you what I put and also give you one more example. So here was this one just before. This is how I did this one. The IDP commented how her US-based niece, so I made that even shorter, had taken responsibility for her since the cry. But I like credited. I thought that was a very nice touch because that kind of references you know, it really sums up the idea of taking responsibility for something. Doman, could you also put yours in the chat, please, so that I add it in, because I think that's very good. Just a minute. Wait a minute, because I had something else I wanted to show you. I'm not. Here we are. This is what I wanted to show you. Here, this one, this is how you can use paraphrasing and summarizing. So you may remember that in the Mombororo case study that we looked at today, they reference, I think, 5 different authors. We saw the different case studies, and you see that these are both paraphrased and summarized. The author is saying it in their own words and also making it much shorter, just giving the key points. So, I mean, so I think it was like, it's very understandable that sometimes paraphrasing and summarizing can get confused because sometimes we're doing both at the same time. And that's definitely a normal thing to do in this type of writing. Good. So we're nearly finishing. References is the final point of today that I'm going to give you. So footnote. And in English, the footnote, normally you can add this. You go in Word, you go insert, and then you look for footnote, and then you write it in, and it will give you the number automatically. It's not like you have to look for the number. You just say insert footnote, and it will come up. If you can't find it, then you Google, how do I do a footnote? That's what you can do that for anything, really. And let me give you an example from the Momboro. This actually, she puts them before the punctuation, but really they should go after, but it's no big deal. The important thing is that the footnotes are in there, and you'll see that then they pop up at the end of the page. So they're kind of like, so here, she's showing the different, this was in the introduction, the different types of migratory groups. And so she's got this one, and this one, and she's referencing and giving a little more explanation about them. And so there you can see that. Okay, so footnotes are something that are very handy for references. Then another question that one of you asked, how, when you're putting a link in, how can you make sure that that link is still going to be findable down the line? This is called future proofing. When we make something so that, like, in 5 years' time, say somebody else comes to read your case study and they want the link, the hyperlink, to still be working. And so this is something that I found. If you can go here onto a link, avoid link rot, and it was like how to do this. You have to sort of follow the process. Avoiding plagiarism. You should always check that your work, that you haven't inadvertently copied it from someone else. And you can, I'm giving you a link about how to do that. And so you can see how to do that. So those were 2 other questions that might come up. And this brings us to the final point of the day, which is not a learning point. It's more of a discussion. But I wanted to check in with you with the very first activity we did when I said, well, what are the challenges that you see with your case studies? And these were the challenges that you had told me about. You're all first timers. What will be the maximum length? How could you write the proposal? The lack of literature on your research project on topic, and you know, and how to write it, and the challenges. So I think that to the best of my ability, I have tried to address all these issues. So we're all first timers to do a case study. Well, I think the attitude about this, and I think the advice that I gave you that very first day was like to start small. I mean, everyone has to start somewhere. You know, maybe there's other people who wrote the case studies. Maybe it was also their first. And you are doing this within a very supportive context, which is the IIWF. And you're given a lot of help. You have a tutor. You can reach out to me again on the campus. And, you know, you can start, as I say, with those baby steps. Start with the, you know, with following the writing process that I've given you. So, and using the template that I've also given you and adapting it to your needs. So would you say that you feel a little more comfortable now about this? I can't remember who it was who, I'm only seeing Doman. Is everyone else here?
Yeah.
Good. Would people feel a little more comfortable about this, and even though you're first timers?
Yes.
Yeah. You feel you have a few more tools now? Fee, would you like to comment?
Yes, for me, I can say the way you have explained to us and even presenting to us an already existing work, like an example of Bororo women. So it is something that we can actually relate and get to know it is possible, and it is not as hard as we thought in the first place.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's not impossible.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's not hard. It is going to be hard. It's a big project that you've all taken on, but you are doing it, as I say, within a very supportive context, and you should have the tools to be able to do it. But it's still not going to but I mean, and as you say, if you can see that somebody else has managed to do it and you can see those examples, I'm glad that made it a bit more straightforward. Good. Anyone else like to make any comment? Okay, good. So question number 2. As I think I mentioned earlier today, I think 30 pages with photos is okay, but otherwise I would keep it like a maximum of 25. I mean, the Mbororo one was quite long, but the other example that I saw about the Maasai was a little bit shorter. I think it was 20 pages. So you're talking maybe between 20, 25. Maybe I'll adjust that. I mean, 30 with photos, I would say. Does that answer that question? Okay, good. Now, actually writing up the proposal, well, you have the toolkit now. You have the template, you have the writing process, you have the editing, you have the quoting, you have the paraphrasing, you have the summarizing, you know how to write shorter sentences, you know how to write more powerful sentences. And I think I've given you all the tools within my capabilities so that you can write up your very own case study. Is there anything, and this is going to help, people down the line, maybe not you, but like, is there anything that you would like to have spent more time on or anything less time on? Does anyone have any comments about that?
Yeah, may I?
Yes, Joman.
Yeah, I would, I think paraphrasing and yeah, I would have loved more exercises with
More exercises on
paraphrasing
paraphrasing.
and summarizing. Yes.
Okay, and more on summarizing. Okay, excellent. Good. Anything else? Okay, all right. So a bit more on that. Good. And
also the exercises on punctuation marks.
Yeah.
That's quite tricky sometimes.
They are tricky. They are tricky because they have actual rules. So they do. You can always look online for some exercises, or maybe I could post some more example of punctuation for online to find things that will correct you so that you can self-correct for those ones.
Like is there a list, actual list of the rules?
Well, I've given it to you. I have pretty well given it to you. It's pretty,
yeah.
I've covered all the main topics.
Yeah.
I think
I
I've
was
covered.
looking at Moodle. Is there a PowerPoint or is it the video?
The PowerPoints are all up on the campus as a PDF. So you can download them.
Okay.
They're all there as a PDF because obviously they're too heavy as PowerPoint. You can watch the video again as well, but I would recommend downloading the PowerPoint and then you can just find the bit that you're interested in. Okay, good. So the lack of literature on your research topic, or too much literature, which was the other issue. So to the person who had too much literature, I suggested that thank you, Daisy. That's a very nice comment. I suggested that you should probably define and limit. If there's too much literature on something, then you say, well, I'm only going to look at the last 10 years, or I'm only going to look at the last 5 years. And obviously you have to explain that in your, probably in your methodology. If there is no literature, who was the person with no literature? Nukila, wasn't it you?
Yeah, but literature, right? Yeah.
But did you find something?
For the literature?
Yes, I mean, I think one of you, I remember, said that there was like no literature, or that nobody else had ever talked about your topic.
Oh, no. I just, I was asking about whether we can use what years that I had to use for literature. Current years,
Well,
what I think of the years, yeah.
I think that's up to you, but I think you have to define it. Yeah. I think you have to define it. And I would suggest that you choose some sort of cutoff point, because otherwise, it's going to be a master's thesis and not a case study. You have to limit it a bit. Good. And then how to write the project, which is the problem and the challenges. And here I would say, start with a template. Obviously, as we've talked about today, you're going to adapt your template and go step by step. Don't try, it's a little bit like that expression, don't try to run before you can walk. Because remember, don't let the judge into the room. We want to, do each stage and then give it a break, and then come back and correct it. Because if you start correcting when you're just getting to your material together, you're just going to make yourself very nervous, and it's going to be very hard to write. And that's generally what happens to people who get what is called writer's block. So if you can divide it up into manageable stages. I'm very confident that you have totally nailed it. So I'm going to remind you once more that I need those tasks, the task number 1, by Friday, this Friday, the 8th, if possible. And I would, just like to say we have a couple of minutes left. I'd just like to thank all of you for your dedication, for your hard work. And it's been a real pleasure training all of you. And I hope that you can use all of these techniques that I've given you, the tools that I've given you in this very brief period, not just in your case studies, but in your lives as well, because they're all transferable tools that I hope you can use them every day. And I'm very glad. I can see a very nice remark from Daisy, and I'm very glad to hear that it's a little bit easier, that you're finding it a little bit easier now. So it's been a real pleasure. You've all worked very hard, and I know you will continue to.
Yeah, yeah, I want to share something. And yeah, thank you so much. You make it so clear, and I'm so happy to take this class.
Okay, good. Well, I'm so glad. I'm very, very glad. And thank you, Ananya. Good. I'm very glad as well. And Doman, you're writing a thesis as well as the case study? Are you doing a master's?
Yes, I'm in the
You
writing
are?
phase. Yes, it's
Oh
very, very helpful.
Good, excellent. What are you doing your master's in?
Oh, I'm doing what's that? I'm writing on traditional knowledge on indigenous knowledge and practices on mental health and well-being.
Oh, very
Yeah, it's a
challenging.
master's thesis. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big topic, isn't it? Yes, that's a really big topic. At which university? In the Philippines?
Yes, yes.
Fantastic.
University of the East, Ramon Magsaysay.
Okay. Well, please, we'll stay in touch on the campus while the course continues. And then if you want to check me out on LinkedIn, you can always find me there on LinkedIn. But thank you very much. It's been a great honor for me.
Thank you very much.
Joan.
Thank you
very much, teacher.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I want to connect in LinkedIn.
Please do. Please do. I'm Joanna Richardson, and then I think you might need to put like Argentina or plain English. If you put in plain English, you'll find me.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, Daisy. Thank you.